All right, welcome to day 2 of Resurrection Eggs. All right, today's egg is
Light pink.
light pink. Okay, light pink. Let's see what's inside the light pink. Okay, light pink.
3 silver coins.
Okay, 3
They're
silver
stuck
coins.
together there.
There they are. Okay, 3 silver coins. All right, so let's read a passage of scripture. Actually, there's 3 passages that have to do with this particular lesson today. First one's from Matthew 26, 14 through 16. Okay, Ruthie, we'll start with that section of scripture. Okay, go ahead, whenever you're ready. You want the booklet?
Sure. All right. I'll set it down there. Then one of the 12, whose name was Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What will you give me if I deliver him over to you?" And they paid him 30 pieces of silver. And from that moment he sought an opportunity to betray him.
Okay, now we're going to read the second passage of scripture. That is from Matthew 26, 46 through 50. All right, let me start at 46. Rise, let us be going. See, my betrayer is at hand. While he was still speaking, Judas came, one of the 12, and with him a great crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now the betrayer had given them a sign, saying, "The one I will kiss is the man. Seize him." And he came up to Jesus at once and said, "Greetings, Rabbi." And he kissed him. Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you came to do." Then they came up and laid hands on Jesus and seized him. All right, the next passage is still in Matthew, but we are jumping to 27, chapter 27, 1 through 5. Would you like to read this section? Or should I read it?
Yeah, you should probably read it.
I'll read it? Okay. When morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus to put him to death. And they bound him and led him away and delivered him over to Pilate the governor. Then when Judas, his betrayer, saw that Jesus was condemned, he changed his mind and brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, "I have sinned by betraying innocent blood." They said, "What is that to us? See to it yourself." And throwing down the pieces of silver into the temple, he departed. Am I supposed to read 1 through 5? Let me make sure. Yep. He departed. And he went and hanged himself. Okay. And then we're done with that section. Okay. The Jewish leaders wanted to get rid of Jesus. He was not the kind of Messiah or Son of God they wanted. They were looking for God to send a warrior-like king, one riding on a horse, not a donkey, who would come and overthrow the Roman Empire that ruled over the Jews. But that was not God's plan. Instead of a conquering warrior-like king, Jesus came as a man, peaceful, humble, and full of God's love. He came to earth to show us this love, and that true goodness only comes from our Father in heaven. And in this goodness is what God causes, And this goodness is what God causes to happen in our hearts and our lives when we follow Jesus. But again, only God can bring about this goodness. We can't do anything good without God. The Pharisees, however, would go parading around showing how good they thought they were. And yet, their hearts were not good. They were judgmental, selfish, and prideful. Jesus wanted the people to know that this was wrong. He taught that it's not what we're like on the outside that is important, but what is in our hearts instead. Jesus said if our hearts are made clean, then we will be clean and pleasing on the outside also. Jesus told the Pharisees what they were doing that what they were doing was wrong and they needed to change. And this made the Pharisees and the Jewish leaders mad. They did not want Jesus to tell them they were sinful. They wanted to continue living selfish, prideful lives. They did not want to change and be like God wanted them to be. And this is what sin really is: living our lives, being disobedient to God. Judas was one of Jesus' disciples who at first followed Jesus but decided to be disobedient to God. By disobeying, he was choosing to throw away his love for Jesus. He did this by betraying Jesus to his enemies, leading the Jewish leaders to where Jesus was so they could put him to death. And Judas betrayed Jesus for only 30 pieces of silver. When someone betrays us, it is sin. Betraying is when someone lies, pretending to be your friend, but instead is really your enemy. Even though Judas was one of Jesus' trusted disciples, he turned against Jesus. As a result, the Jewish leaders captured Jesus, so they put him on trial for saying he was God.